Who else could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Monday Night Football Overtime. Saints, Raiders, brand new Allegiant Stadium. I got that wrong earlier. I think I called it Reliant Stadium. I think that's the Texans Stadium, or at least what it was. These names change all the time, it seems like. But brand new stadium in Vegas, and the Raiders take care of business. Challenge accepted by the Raiders. I issued a challenge to them, and I said, show me you're for real. Show me that you're ready to compete. They're shorthanded, and they don't look like the same team. Even with Michael Thomas, this offense didn't look sharp in week one. You take out their most potent player, and I surmise that they're going to struggle even more. They did. Raiders took advantage. Kudos to the Raiders. This was a big win for them. Now, you saw the schedule. It's not, I repeat, not getting any easier for the Raiders. But this is a massive win. Gives you a ton of confidence going into your next game at New England and in the following weeks, home for Buffalo. It doesn't get any easier. You got the Chiefs at the Chiefs after that. Then you're on a bye week. Then you got Tampa after that. I mean, you could easily not win a game the next 4 games that you play, conceivably. But after winning tonight, you've got to feel like, why can't you go to New England and put up 37 against that Patriots defense and win? Why can't you come home, force Josh Allen into a couple of mistakes, potentially beat them? Sky's the limit. You know, when you get a win like this, it's a big statement made. All right. And that's what I said. Make a statement tonight. Statement made by the Los Angeles Raiders as they get it done. Las Vegas Raiders as they get it done 34-24 tonight on Monday Night Football over the New Orleans Saints. I told you that I'm becoming more and more of a Derek Carr fan. Not a guy that's going to be, taking him and ranking him over elite quarterbacks in his league or anything like that. But he's a guy that I think fits what John Gruden wants to do now. I thought he missed some opportunities tonight to take shots down the field. He's a guy that definitely wants to get the football out of his hands, hot potato style. One of those guys, similar to Kyler Murray, doesn't want to be hit. So anything but getting hit, he'll do it, meaning he'll throw it up for grabs sometimes. But all in all, quick release, knows where to go with the football, finds the right guy, checks it down in a good enough amount of time that a guy has a chance to get up the field and potentially get a first down, even though he may be short of the sticks when he catches the football. Derek Carr is one of the better quarterbacks in the league at playing within the timing and rhythm of the offense, getting rid of the football. Back foot hits the ground, ball comes out. He's very adept at doing it. And look, the Raiders know what they have at the quarterback position. It's part of the reason that they are the team that has invested the most in the offensive line. Some of that you could say, oh yeah, of course they did that. They want to run the football with Gruden. And that's a fact. But before Gruden even got there, they had already begun heavily investing in the offensive line. And I think a huge part of that also is that Derek Carr isn't a scrambler. He's not a guy that you want having pressure on him. He does not do well under duress. You have to protect him. So you'd be wise to spend money on your offensive line, not only to open up holes in the run game, as they've done effectively. Now, they're not dominant on the ground. Josh Jacobs still doesn't have a 100-yard game to his name this season. And it's not like for a lack of trying. He had 27 carries, I believe, last week, only 93 yards, still 3 touchdowns. And he had another 27 this week, still didn't crack 100 yards. However, when they need to run the football, they're effective. 3rd and 10 tonight, Jalen Richard turns the corner. That, as Louis Riddick said, that was piss poor effort on the part of the Saints. That looked like a team that had basically quit at that moment. And I can't explain what happened on that particular play. But kudos to the Raiders for getting it done. That was impressive, especially after getting down early in this game. They could have waved the white flag. And Raiders past teams might have gotten down early in this game. And remember, Everything that I said went polar opposite. I said, hey, the Raiders need to get out to an early lead because they need to set the tone in this game. If they fall behind, they're not going to win. Well, they fell behind early in this game. It didn't look like they were going to win. They rallied back, took the lead, and never surrendered it once again in this game. I said, look, make a statement. I think this is an opportunity for you to do that. The Saints are definitely wounded and shorthanded walking into this game. And as I mentioned, I said, look, their offense isn't all that great right now. It wasn't great even with Michael Thomas. They did not look sharp last week. You take him out of the lineup, they're going to have to, and I told you, Emmanuel Sanders was basically invisible last week until he scored that one touchdown. I don't know if he had a catch tonight. So I told you it was going to have to be a steady diet of Jared Cook, which you know all too often, and he wasn't a major factor in this game. I said it's going to have to be a lot of Alvin Kamara. He was all they had tonight, really. Him and Traquan Smith were really the only two guys that stepped up and gave them anything in this game. Outside of those two, you didn't get anything out of Cook. You didn't get anything out of E-Man Sand. And so credit to the Raiders for essentially making them one-dimensional, taking away the run game essentially, forcing them to have to beat them through the air. And really the only guy that Drew Brees had any confidence in was Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. And again, a sprinkle of Traquan Smith. So they were struggling. And again, you give credit where credit is due. The Raiders, they forced the issue tonight. And that's a big, big win. That's 2 straight weeks of scoring 30-plus points for the Raiders as well. So, you start looking at the Raiders as one of these teams that may be able to score. I told you they spent a lot of resources in the offseason trying to bolster this offense. And not just in the draft, but, you look at Jason Witten and you say, look, Witten's not catching the ball. He's not making any plays, but he's also a guy that can provide you some oomph in the run game. He can still do that at his ripe old age. And so Darren Waller got that extension, got that big money in the offseason for a reason. You saw that tonight, 12 grabs, over 100 yards, and a touch. This guy is a big mismatch nightmare, and that's what this league is all about, creating mismatches. It didn't matter who the Saints put on him tonight. They tried a corner, they tried a safety, they tried linebackers. They all failed miserably as he dominated in some crucial situations, a bunch of third down conversions, a touchdown on a fourth down. They had no answer for Darren Waller tonight. Then you sprinkle in a little bit of Hunter Renfrow and a couple of other guys out there. And this is a team that they have weapons, man. You get a little dab of Nelson Aguilar here, a little dab of Henry Ruggs there. They didn't even really showcase Henry Ruggs this week like they did last week. And but when the game was on the line, they threw him a deep ball. It wasn't even close, but Janoris Jenkins got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, and that really was all she wrote there. Big kick by Daniel Carlson to put this one away, and that's a ballsy call by John Gruden, because if he misses that kick, and I've crucified some coaches this year for doing this exact thing, but when it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't work, and I've stated this already, if it doesn't work, now you're a pariah and a goat. So it worked, and so everyone will praise John Gruden, but had Daniel Carlson missed that kick and you give it to Drew Brees at his own 45-yard line with no timeouts with a minute left, you're living pretty dangerous at that point. But I'm all about go aggressive or go home. Scared money don't make money. I've stated that numerous times. I'm not here for the, hey, man, let's just hold on for dear life. I'm here for the win. Now, there are ways to go about that. I chastised the Seattle Seahawks last night. I thought that the throw by Derek Carr on that third down was fine. It wasn't 3rd and 1. So, I just want to make sure we clarify what we talked about last night versus what we saw tonight. Derek Carr threw the football on like 3rd and 13 or whatever it was, or 3rd and 9. It was 3rd and forever. So he's just throwing it up. If we get it, cool. If we don't, whatever, it doesn't matter. But in the case of the game last night with Seattle, it was 3rd and 1. You hand it off. The Patriots have shown little to no resistance in stopping the run the entire night. What are you throwing the football 40 yards down the field for? So totally different scenario, but it worked out for both teams. A little bit more of a sweat for the Seattle Seahawks last night. not as much for the Raiders as they get a PI call, gives them a fresh set of downs. They're able to then pretty much force the Saints to use their final timeout, run the clock down to a minute, and then kick the game win or the field goal to put the game out of reach at 2 scores at 34-24. So a massive win for the Raiders. I thought they stepped up and did some things. After a slow start to the game defensively, I thought they did a really good job of taking away players. They essentially said, Jared Cook won't beat us, and Emmanuel Sanders, we're just going to erase him. And you're going to have to go to Alvin Kamara. And if he beats us, we'll tip our cap, but we don't think he can by himself. And he couldn't. And so, again, I can tell you this. I still haven't put my finger on, what's wrong with this offense. And again, if Michael Thomas was here, I think this is a win for the Saints. Because it would have been the same thing like having Darren Waller on the football field for the Saints. They would have their version of Darren Waller, a guy that it doesn't matter who you put on him, you can't cover him. Or as he says, you can't guard Mike. And so having him out of the lineup made it so much easier to defend all the other guys that the Saints try to throw at you. And I thought we'd see more of Taysom Hill tonight. I was shocked that he didn't get more involved in this offense. It just seems like something is missing from the Saints, the offense right now. They seem to be a little off kilter. They don't seem to be as dynamic and explosive this year. And they're leaving their defense to have to fend for themselves. And this defense is good, but it's not great. It's not elite. They can't just win off the strength of their defense. If their offense doesn't get it together, they could really, really find themselves in a hole, especially if Michael Thomas is out for any amount of considerable time. Obviously, they haven't put him on IR yet, so that begs the question, is he going to come back next week? Or do they think this is a 2-week injury? They don't want to put him on IR and have him miss an additional game that he doesn't necessarily have to miss. Look, anytime you start talking about ankle sprains, I like to think that it's at least 2 games that you're going to miss with that. But we'll see what happens with Michael Thomas and whether he's able to go next week on Sunday Night Football versus the Green Bay Packers. However, Josh Jacobs was phenomenal in this game despite not reaching 100 yards. He runs hard and physical. He can catch it out of the backfield. I like Jalen Richard, even though he had that fumble tonight. He's a quality third down back in this league. Hunter Renfrow is a really good slot option. Really love what he brings to the table for this Raiders offense. I told you Darren Waller, and I talk about Darren Waller all the time because I want one of those so bad in Washington. Man, could we use a Darren Waller in the worst way? Couldn't everybody, though? I mean, I'm not really saying much by stating that. I mean, everyone would love their version of Darren Waller, but, I love his story because it's not like this guy was a highly touted tight end coming into the league that a team spent a first or a second round draft pick on. This was a guy that came to the league as a wide receiver. He got into the Ravens organization. They got him to make that transformation over to the tight end position, but it came with a bunch of failed drug tests and suspensions, and he had to get his act together off the field. You heard them say he contemplated retirement, thought that he was going to end up having to go home and kind of recalibrate and figure out what his life was going to be without football. And then the Raiders came calling. They gave him an opportunity. He got clean. And really what we're talking about is weed, okay? He was smoking weed more likely than not. I don't know exactly what substance we're talking about. I'm imagining we're talking about weed here. And he got popped a couple of times for smoking weed and got his issues off the field ironed out. And you see what this guy's turned into. A big mismatch nightmare. Guy that is 6'6", can run still like a wide receiver. Essentially, all he did was bulk up. He came into the league at about 235, 240 pounds as a wide receiver at 6'6". And all he did was bulk up a bit, and he didn't lose his athleticism nor his speed whatsoever. So essentially, you've got a wide receiver at tight end in Darren Waller, and it looks like it. It shows. It's just hard to cover this guy. He's got the wingspan of about a 7-footer. He's got tremendous hands, and they're soft. So he catches everything. You saw one pass. He's running across the field this way. Carr throws it behind him, and he reaches back and doesn't even break stride and plucks it out of the air and slides down for about a good 17-yard gain. I mean, the guy is a physical freak. And so he's outstanding. And like I said, Derek Carr pulling the strings. You know, it's not always going to be aesthetically pleasing with Derek Carr, but when he doesn't turn it over, they have a chance. And he didn't turn it over tonight. No interceptions. Carr can be a little loosey-goosey with the football and fumble. Didn't have any of those tonight. And when he takes care of the rock and he distributes it the way he did, at one point, 10 different receivers had catches in this game, including the fullback Alex Ingold, who scored the first ever touchdown for the Raiders in their new stadium. Hell, even Zay Jones got a touchdown. I mean, he's touchdowning for Jesus out in Vegas. All right, so it was a hell of a night, spreading the football around, and that's a big, big win for the Las Vegas Raiders. And for the Saints, again, I kind of saw this one coming. I thought they would, off the strength of just their name, and I got to stop doing that with some of these teams. Just stop giving them wins off the strength of their name. My eyes aren't deceiving me, and I told you last week, like, I was more worried about the Saints coming out of that week 1 win than the Bucs. Because, again, the Bucs have a bunch of moving parts. You got a new quarterback. He's learning a new offense, no offseason, new teammates, still haven't gotten all of the things that you need to get down from a chemistry standpoint. And so, that's a work in progress. The Saints, they were coming back with all their stuff. Everything was the same cast of characters, same offense, same quarterback, same coach, same skill position players. All you added was E-Man Sand. Everything else was the same, and they looked out of sorts. That was really concerning for me. And I ignored that because I said, it's the Raiders and it's the Saints. And off of the strength of their name, they're supposed to be able to win this game. But with no Michael Thomas, I was concerned, as I should have been. And it came to fruition, especially with the way they had been struggling offensively. Got to give credit to the Raiders, though. They buckled down after a slow start to the game. They buckled down. They got it done defensively, and the offense came around. And I want me to tell you something else the Raiders did a tremendous job of tonight, playing keep away. I could sit here and talk about how the Saints didn't get it done on offense. They didn't have a bunch of chances either. Now, they had their opportunities. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for them because I could point to penalties as a major problem for them tonight. They had a drive that they absolutely destroyed on their own. They're moving the football down the field, a couple of big plays, one to Kamara, one to, I want to say it was Traquan Smith, and just like that, 2 plays, they're in Raiders territory, and then 2 straight holding penalties, a blindside block, and all of a sudden, you're back on your side of the football field. You're back on the other side of the Raiders shield, and I'm like, what the hell just happened to this drive? Now it's 2nd and 31. What in the hell just happened? So, they had 9 penalties for over 100 yards tonight. The Saints really shot themselves in the foot, and they might have had a 10th. I think that 9th penalty might have been the Janoris Jenkins pass interference down the field, but whatever the case may be, they absolutely killed themselves with penalties. But the Raiders did a tremendous job of possessing the football. They controlled time of possession. They ate up the clock. They methodically moved the football down the field. They ate up yards. They ate up clock. They got in the end zone when they got down the field. And that's the most important part when you're playing a high-octane offense like the Saints, or at least an offense that has the capability to be high-octane like the Saints. You can't leave it to chance by kicking field goals. You get in the end zone when you get in the red zone. They did that tonight. So they not only put together, I think, 4 different drives of 8 plays or more, and I think 3 or 4 of them might have been 10-plus plays, but they also made sure that those drives culminated in trips into the end zone. They tasted pay dirt. They did not allow this game to come down to a situation where you look up and you say, man, for as much as the Raiders have dominated, they're only 1 of 4 in the red zone, and because of that, the Saints are literally, a field goal away from tying this game up or winning this football game, or they're 1 possession away from stealing this game from the Raiders, even though the Raiders have thoroughly dominated and they're winning the time of possession battle by 16 minutes. No, they got in the end zone. Put pressure on the Saints to have to not only when they get the football, make the most of it. But if they're going to get down there, they better score touchdowns because the Raiders weren't kicking field goals. And so it's just a hell of a turn of events because, again, this was a game that in the early stages looked like this was going to run away. It was a 14-0 game. The Saints were up. You thought they were going to run away with this thing. The Raiders slowly but surely chipped away at the lead, forced a couple of turnovers, got in this game. Drew Brees with an inexplicable interception. He couldn't have seen Morrow, the linebacker, but that's just a bad interception. Like I said, the Saints are struggling, and I'm not sure they're going to go home and beat Green Bay, especially if there's no Michael Thomas. They could really struggle here because the offense just is off. So we'll see what happens, but they neutralized Cameron Jordan. He was really the only guy that can get pressure on the quarterback, and they neutralized him. You really didn't hear his name at all tonight. I think the only time I heard his name called was when he had the horse collar penalty. So the Raiders, you got to give them credit. They had some guys out on the offensive line. Still didn't hear Cameron Jordan's name. So you got to give credit where credit is due. They played a phenomenal game, and that's a big win for the Raiders as they get to 2-0 on the season. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints are now 1-1, and a lot of questions about the Saints. I'm not really sure if this is the same Saints team. And look, we're 2 weeks in. They may take 6 or 7 weeks this year to kick it into high gear, and then they get rolling. And the next thing you know, we get to the end of the season, and the Saints have won 9 out of their final 10, or they've won 8 straight. It doesn't take long for a team like that's a veteran group to catch lightning in a bottle. E-Man Sand starts to really fit in, and they start to integrate him into the offense better. And all of a sudden, Thomas is clicking. E-Man Sand is clicking. Jared Cook gets going. Kamara, is as consistent as it gets at the running back position when he's right. And all of a sudden now they're scoring 37 every week, and they're a tough out. That could easily happen. But right now, they're just not in sync, are the New Orleans Saints. So let's get to the comment section. I got a couple super chats. Remember, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also like this video. And if you want your comment read on the air, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have it read. We'll get through as many of those as we can. But if you want your comment to be definitely read, use the super chat feature. And super chat, that's the fastest and most efficient way to guarantee you get your comment read. That being said, got some super chats, so I will knock those out. Got one here from Jim Hoover. Thank you for the super chat, Jim Hoover, who writes, how many different receivers? Wow. Yeah, 10 different receivers did Derek Carr hit tonight. Let's see if we can rattle off some of them. So definitely Darren Waller. Also Hunter Renfrow. They also hit, I want to say that Henry Ruggs got a catch. So that's 3. You got Zay Jones. That's 4. You got both running backs. So 3. I think he hit all 3 of his running backs, which is Booker, Jacobs, and Richard out of the backfield. That's 8. Alex Ingold, that's 7, excuse me. Ingold, the fullback, that's 8. Jason Witten caught a pass tonight. That's 9. And the other tight end, who I love, Foster Moreau, caught a pass. That's 10 guys right there. So I may be missing somebody, but I think those are the 10 guys. Did I mention the ex-Philadelphia wide receiver, Nelson Aguilar? I don't know if I did or not. But again, that's 10 right there. If I didn't mention Aguilar, that's 11. So he was distributing the football all over the field. Everyone got a taste. Everybody got a touch. And Derek Carr was masterful back there. Again, don't turn it over. Continue to move the sticks. He wasn't looking to push it down the field vertically tonight. He was just looking to move the sticks. They did it effectively. They chewed up the clock. They won time of possession. And again, when they got in the red zone, they found the end zone. Thank you for the super chat, Jim Hoover. Got another one here from Mustango. Thank you for the super chat, Mustango, who writes, Raiders can be really good if they stay healthy. I still got my doubts. But they're still a very young team. And look, they got the Panthers in week 1. That you got to win that football game. They tried to blow it, but they held on. And then this was the test. This was the litmus test. You serious about being competitive this year? If you're cool with being 8-8, 7-9, lose this game with the Saints being shorthanded. If you're serious about pushing for 10 wins this year and trying to make the postseason, make a statement. They made a statement. So we're going to see. This next stretch is going to tell me all I need to know about the Raiders. If they find a way to go 2-2 in this next stretch of 4 games, the Raiders they're serious this year. They're for real. They're not bullshitting. They're not just here to occupy space. They're looking to compete this year because their next 4 games is hell. It's murderer's row. As we talked about already. At New England, home for Buffalo, at the Chiefs, and then a bye, come off the bye, and then you're home for Tampa Bay. So if they can split that, and it really doesn't matter which 2 you get, you'd preferably like to win any 2 in the AFC. You'd love to get Kansas City. That's a division game to make a statement there. And you'd love to get Buffalo, honestly. Or New England. It may come down to New England not winning their division. You may need a wild card. That may be a tiebreaker. Whatever the case may be. You like to win the AFC games because those count more towards trying to make the postseason. Because you're not going to win your division. You're not going to win the division over Kansas City. And more likely than not, the Chargers are going to be right there too. I don't see you winning the division over them either. But if you're looking to get a wild card, you got to find a way to beat teams like New England and Buffalo. Those teams could be vying for wild card spots at the end of the season when it's all said and done. But again, you don't care which 2 you get. You just need to find a way to get at least 2 of those. If you can get a 2-2 split there, come out of that thing at 4-2, the Raiders are serious in my book. And as you said, health is going to be the key. They've already had some injuries along the offensive line. They've been able to circumvent those, but they need to stay relatively healthy at the skill position. More precisely, Darren Waller has to stay healthy. At receiver, they already lost one of their receivers in Williams already. They got 89,000 receivers, as we saw tonight. Like, they'll be fine if 1 or 2 guys go down at receiver. It just depends on which one. Like Hunter Renfrow, I don't think there's another guy on their team that does what he does in the slot. So to me, he's important, and Darren Waller is extremely important. And Ruggs is important because he stretches the football field vertically. They have to have that guy. They didn't have that guy last year. They need that guy to stretch the football field vertically. That's why they drafted him. And Edwards. I didn't name Brian Edwards, so I'm not sure if all 3 backs. Booker might not have caught a pass, but Brian Edwards definitely caught a pass tonight. So, again, Derek Carr spreading the football around. He might have hit 11 or 12 guys when it was all said and done. So, thank you for the super chat, Mustango. Got another super chat from Jim Hoover. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Jim Hoover. Greatly appreciate you. Jim Hoover writes, Raiders play most of the game with 2 backup O-linemen. They did. I know their right tackle position, they had Denzel Good in the game. No Trent Brown. He got injured in week 1 or right before the season started. Either way, no Trent Brown tonight. And so they were already down their right tackle. And then I know Richie Incognito went down early in this ball game. And so they had to stick the rookie out of Clemson, John Simpson, in the game. And he fared well. His problem was not run blocking at Clemson. That was what he specialized in. His problem is in pass protection. And I'd like to say he held up pretty damn good tonight. I mean, we didn't hear a peep out of anybody on that Saints defensive line. So I'd say John Simpson, for his first time in the NFL, getting some action, getting his feet wet, I'd say he did pretty damn good tonight, holding it down. So the Raiders definitely played with some backup offensive linemen and got it done. Mustango, double up, thank you for doubling up, Mustango. Greatly appreciate you. Mustango writes, anything you'd like to see the Raiders improve on? I definitely like to see the Raiders do a better job of getting pressure on the quarterback. I think they got one guy that can get after the quarterback, and that's Max Crosby. After that, I'm not I was never a huge fan of the Cleveland Farrell pick. I thought that was a little early for him. Not really my cup of tea, but he's a guy that's to me just a guy, and I don't know if they have enough up front in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback. That's part of the reason why I think you can teams that can't get to the quarterback consistently. Those are the teams that are going to routinely give up 30 in ball games, even in games that they're not supposed to. Like you have no business giving up 30 to Carolina, but because you can't get to the quarterback and you got corners that are susceptible to double moves. That's all the more reason why you need to get to the quarterback because you got nosy corners in the secondary that are susceptible to giving up big plays. And the more time that the quarterback has, the more likely it is they can pull off a double move and allow your corner to bite down and be over aggressive and get beat like they did in week 1 versus Panthers with Robbie Anderson breaking the youngster Damon Arnett off with a double move and getting him a piece of that 77-yard touchdown. So I think they could use more pass rush. Honestly speaking, that's the one thing that I worry about with them is that they against teams that can protect and that have options and weapons, like they're going to struggle against Kansas City. You know, Kansas City can protect. Mahomes will have all day to dissect their secondary. I think they're going to struggle against the Chiefs. You know, they could even struggle against Denver, you know, with the weapons that they can put on the football field. Now, again, Denver has their own set of issues protecting the quarterback. Maybe the Raiders will be able to eat against that Denver Broncos offensive line. But, you know, when they see teams like that, I think they could have some issues on their hands if they can't get to the quarterback in enough time. So that's one thing I think they would definitely need to improve upon. But they've spent, it's not for a lack of trying. They've spent draft capital. They just need those guys to start performing and producing some dividends for them. Thank you for those super chats. Mustango says, yo, Louie T, how about the Raiders? Laughing my ass off, was laughing when the Saints lost. I didn't see this one coming. You know, I did. I just didn't have the balls to pull the trigger. And I do that early in the season. I don't have the balls to pull the trigger on some of these. You know, 2-3 weeks down the road, and you could get got like that too. Like I thought about pulling the trigger on Jacksonville this week, and I almost did, and it would have backfired. But you know, it was a close game. But nobody cares about close. They just care about end result. And Tennessee won the game. So you know, sometimes going out on a limb, even though you have a little bit of an inkling, sometimes going out on a limb can bite you in your ass. And you know, this was one of those ones. Last week, I regretted one game, and that was not taking Arizona over San Francisco. This is the one that I regret this week, you know, because I saw the potential for this to happen, but I didn't have the balls to pull the trigger on it. You know what? I'll take that back. I took the Rams. I took the Eagles over the Rams. If I had to do over again, because I believe in the Rams this year, so that was the one that I probably should have went the other way on. But you know, this is a hell of a win for the Raiders. I didn't think they were going to win the game, so I shouldn't say that. Reese says, whenever the Saints lose, I'm a happy guy. Chucky's boys came in there and got it done. That they did. Well, they didn't come in there and get it done. That's their home. So they went home and got it done. But yes, they did. Storm says, Las Vegas, we're on the ropes in the first quarter, but Gruden's adjustments to help Carr sparked our win tonight. We don't score to make it 10-7. We lose big today. Oh, and Waller is a baller. That's right. It was 10-0, not 14-0. And you're absolutely right. That touchdown to get it to 10-7 was massive, because had the Saints been able to get it to 17, something like 17-0, that might have been too insurmountable for this young Raiders team to overcome. But, you know, that confidence of, you know, hey, and that's why I said it was imperative that the Saints, I said it'd be nice if the Saints jumped on them, because you wanted to take the air out of the sails of the Raiders. And had they got out to, you know, a 17-0 lead, I think they would have done that. 10, as we saw, wasn't enough. You know, the Raiders were able to score, cut that deficit to 3, and that kind of gave them all the confidence that they needed, that we can play with these guys. We're capable of winning this football game, and that they did. And Darren Waller is definitely a baller. I've been telling anybody that would listen, about Darren Waller. I bring him up all the time when we're talking about tight ends that can catch in this league, that are athletically gifted, that are playmakers. I bring up Darren Waller all the time. I was so impressed with him last year, and I've been a Darren Waller fan even when he was drafted and went to the Ravens, and I heard he was making a transition to tight end. I said, if this guy figures it out, he could be a problem, because that big, that athletic at that position, you're begging to be able to put him on a tight end or a safety, or excuse me, a linebacker or a safety, and create that mismatch. You're begging for them to line up a corner thinking, okay, we'll take him away with the corner. He's just too big, and he's too fast for your slow safety. Like, Jenkins lost a step, too slow to keep up. Oh, you want to put your little corner up there? You want to put Williams? Okay, I'm going to box him out. And I think he's a safety, but he looks like a corner at the safety position. I'm going to just box his little ass out, catch the football on him. You want to put your linebacker on him? He's too slow. I'm going to run past him. So they had no answer for Darren Waller tonight. Reese says, I feel like a coach when I watch the Raiders. Gruden runs almost the same exact stuff he did in Tampa. I see it. You say, I see what's coming before it happens. One thing about Gruden is he is a traditionalist. He's one of those old school coaches that believes in running the football, setting up play action fake. He believes in the fullback. Not many teams still believe in the fullback and their importance in the offense. And, all these teams running RPOs and want to spread you out 5 wide, empty sets. Gruden ain't really doing much of that stuff. Now, you'll get an empty set every now and again from Gruden where he'll spread you out. But for the most part, Derek Carr's under center. He's handing that baby off 28 times a game. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter that they're not running. A wise man once told me it's not about yards, it's about attempts. Just continuing to keep the defense honest so that when you want to throw the football, those opportunities are there because of the repetition of running the football. They have to respect the run. And so Gruden, he believes in that. He's a stickler for, we want to make sure that you understand we're going to run the football tonight. And then the minute you come up and you're over aggressive, we're going to take a shot down the field. And when Derek Carr finally starts connecting with Henry Ruggs and some of these guys, Aguilar and these guys that can run down the field vertically, when he starts to connect on some of these big plays, because John Gruden dialed a couple of them up and Derek Carr just didn't take the shot. Early in the game, they showed you got one-on-one with Henry Ruggs and the corner is trailing on the play and Henry Ruggs is running across the field. And Derek Carr checked it down to Darren Waller. And I know when they go back and watch the film, they're going to say, look, Derek, we called this particular play to take this shot, bro. Take the shot, okay? Let it rip. Don't check it down. Take the shot. So this offense is predicated. It's an old school offense. It's an old school feel. He's still running that wide banana out in the flats. They ran a variation of it on the touchdown on 4th down. You send the tight end out in the flats, and then boom, you send the fullback in there, and boop, you drop it off to the fullback. I mean, not a lot of teams are doing that anymore, So it's kind of fun. It's kind of refreshing. I got a super chat here, though. Let me get this super chat. Mustango, thank you for tripling up. Greatly appreciate you. Mustango writes, you think Sean Payton could have been more aggressive? I thought they could have been a little bit more aggressive tonight. But again, when you take the focal point of your offense out of the mix, it does change what you do as an offense. Philosophically, when you take a number one receiver, and you know how big I am on number one wide receivers. I talk about it all the time. If you don't have a number one wide receiver, it changes everything. And the Saints don't have a number one wide receiver right now without Michael Thomas. I thought E-Man Sam would be able to fill those shoes on a limited basis, but he hasn't, for whatever reason, he hasn't hit the ground running with the Saints. They've still got some things to iron out. He still hasn't found his niche, and there isn't any chemistry between him and Drew Brees yet. And maybe that'll come 4 or 5 weeks down the road, but right now, E-Man Sam is a non-factor. He's a ghost out there. So I don't know if Sean Payton could have been more aggressive. I just thought he could have done some more creative things. Maybe get the speedster involved a little bit more with some jet sweeps, a wide receiver screen, get him out in space. Try to take advantage of the Raiders being over aggressive. Maybe I thought there should have been some more Taysom Hill in this game. Whether you're throwing it to him out of the backfield, he's getting in the wildcat and taking a direct snap. Just some different looks to give the Raiders. I just thought they were kind of vanilla. Again, I think something's going on with this Saints offense. I can't quite put my finger on it right now, but they don't seem like the same team. Thank you for that super chat, Mustango. Let's see. Reese says, Derek Carr is an above average quarterback. On a good day, he can be borderline great. Remember, back in I want to say it was 2016, before he broke his leg late in the season, this guy was an MVP candidate. The Raiders were one of the best teams in football. So we've seen this before, but I say that, and I could also tell you in the same breath, Andy Dalton, before he broke his hand at one point in that same season, I want to say it was 2016, might have been 2015 season, was in the MVP discussion. So, it doesn't take much to be in the discussion to actually win it. It's a different thing. But when Derek Carr is on and he's dialed in and he's got confidence in his targets and he's willing to throw it up for grabs and let his guy go make a play, he's dangerous. When he had Crabtree and who else was on that roster? What's my man's name? Shucks. Where is he at now? Is he in Baltimore? No. I don't know where he is. But he had there was a cluster of guys that he was comfortable throwing the football to. And it was that year that they won a bunch of games, and Connor Cook had to start the playoff game versus the Texans. Cook, we've seen Carr be really good. When he's dialed in and he's got confidence, he's dangerous. He's very dangerous. I got another super chat here. I'm going to go ahead and take that. This one is from Jim Hoover. Again, I believe, Jim Hoover, you tripled up. Appreciate you, Jim Hoover. Thank you so much for the super chat. Jim Hoover writes, J.A., worthy of 24, man was flying. Yes. Like I said, he's a fun guy to watch, flying around the football field. When you see him just flashing on the screen and doing the things that he does, I was sad last year when he got hurt because I was looking forward to watching him play because he's one of those guys, and I told you it's fun. He's like a Bob Sanders, one of those guys that plays the game with reckless abandon, but it's controlled aggression. But it's reckless abandon nonetheless, and he has no regards for his body. Jonathan Abrams is a guy that simply could care less about his own well-being. He's looking to deliver punishment, and those kind of guys, they're fun to watch because they're a blip, on the radar. They're a blur on the screen, and I remember watching. I remember when Bob Sanders was on the Colts or, Sean Taylor on the Washington football team. These guys, they hit anything moving, and sometimes it'd be incoming fire. It'd be fire coming in hot, and you're hitting teammates, and you're like, damn, he just took out his own guy. You can't be in a way when guys like Jonathan Abrams are around because they are a heat-seeking missile, and anything that moves, they're going to try and hit it. So he's fun to watch. I think he's definitely worthy of the 24. So he's going to be a fun one in Vegas for sure. Thank you for the super chat, Jim Hoover. Let's see. JP says, newsflash, Josh Jacobs is a beast, but next week's Monday night game between Kansas City and Baltimore is the marquee game of 2020. We may get another game down the line that we didn't anticipate being a marquee matchup. We may look up and one team's 9-1 and the other one is 8-2, and we're like salivating over that matchup down the road and we didn't even know. I could easily see the Seahawks and the Rams being good like they were in 2018, and we get to a week 10 matchup, and the Rams are 8-1, or the Seahawks are 8-1, and the Rams are 7-2 in week 10, and that's the matchup everybody wants to see, But as of right now, you're spot on. That is absolutely 100% correct. The two best teams in the AFC squaring off on Monday Night Football. The last two times these teams have played each other, we've gotten really good football games. I remember in, I want to say it was in Lamar Jackson's rookie season that I think those two teams went to overtime, if I'm not mistaken. And then last year, I think that the Chiefs won, but it was a close game. Like they had to fight and struggle for that one. It's a close game. So this should be fun. And the Ravens are maturing right before our very eyes, And so I think that's going to be one hell of a matchup. It's not going to be the high scoring, back and forth racetrack game that a lot of people may think it's going to be. I don't think this is going to be 41-38. I honestly think this could be a 30-27 to 30-27, 29-27 type of game. I could see it being something like that where you get some defense, maybe a turnover or two, some great defensive stops, some failed fourth downs, things of that nature. So that should be a good one next week. Silver V, my man Silver Villain says, Drew Brees hasn't looked like himself going back to the last playoff game last year. Father Time is knocking at the door. Absolutely. I think there is some credence to that. You start getting up there in age and some of the things you used to do, you can't do it as well as you used to. And remember, Brees was never the biggest guy, never had the strongest arm. And so when Father Time comes knocking, a guy like Drew Brees, it's hard for him to keep him at bay. And I think he's starting to slow down. And, I don't know if he's ever fully come back, to where he was prior to when he broke his thumb. When he broke his hand on that helmet against the Rams last year and he came back, he was okay, but I don't know that this offense has ever really gotten back. You know what? I guess I can't say that because they had that shootout with San Francisco last year in the Dome. It was like 48-45 or whatever. So I guess maybe you're right. It's probably going back to that Minnesota playoff game last year where they just looked out of sorts. Minnesota comes in there and steals it. He hasn't looked right the first two games of this season, that's for sure. So I don't know. It's hard for me to put my finger on it. Ali Side says, surprised the Saints didn't run the ball more. We legit couldn't stop the run. And, man, I got 2 games wrong this week. Should have put in a pick sheet. You would have been right in it because everybody had 2 wrong. And the Raiders game turned out to be the difference because the person that had 2 losses had the Raiders and the person with 1 loss had the Saints. So then the person got back in with the Raiders win. Then it came down to points. And she won on points. So not only did she get back in with the Raiders win, she also won with points. So she snuck back in the back door and stole one. I'm sitting here just flabbergasted. I got to combine 6 losses in 2 weeks, and I got nothing to show for it, man. I mean, I'm hurting over here. Like, seriously. I thought for sure I won week 1. Somehow I managed to lose that one on points. And then I was like, well, this week was easy. I mean, if you just colored inside the lines, there's no reason that you should have lost anything more than 3 games this week. All you had to do was color inside the lines. That's it. If you tried to be special, I'm going to pick Cincinnati. Man, I think the Falcons can go to Dallas and win, which they should have, but they didn't. Man, Minnesota, they're not going to lose 2 in a row. They're going to bounce back. Or, Washington could go to Arizona. If you tried to color outside the lines a little bit, you could have got. But for the most part, I just gave you the 4 games that you could have debated on. In this Monday nighter. Throw this one in there too. Outside of that, you should have been smooth sailing. The rest of those games, the favorites won, And this was an easy sheet. So, no upsets this week. Not like in week 1. So, 2 losses might have won you something. Just depends on what you would have had for points. But yeah, you should have put a sheet in. I'm going to get me one soon. I can tell you that much. And as far as the Saints not running the ball more, they had success early. I can't put my finger on what's wrong with the Saints. You know, I can't answer that. Sean Payton's out of sorts. You know, we're talking about Drew Brees, but Sean Payton, I don't think he's been doing a good enough job of maximizing the talent that he's got. I don't think he's used some of his guys. Like Jared Cook, I thought could have been featured a little bit more tonight. He had the 1 touchdown grab early in the game, and that was it. Like, he didn't really have an impact on this game. You telling me you can't find a way to get Emmanuel Sanders some touches, even on a wide receiver screen, on a slant? Something simple? Like, to me, Sean Payton is just as much to blame for the struggles of this offense as Drew Brees is. He's not doing a good enough job of scheming it up and getting guys. To me, Taysom Hill should have been a massive part of the game plan tonight because you don't have Michael Thomas. So you need to have somebody pick up the slack. That guy should have been Taysom Hill. We already know what Alvin Kamara is bringing to the table. Whether you got a healthy Michael Thomas or not, Alvin Kamara is going to do what he does. So you needed somebody else to step up. And it didn't have to be one guy. It could have been a collective effort of Cook, Hill, and E-Man Sand. But spread it around. And instead, I think Jared Cook might have had 2, maybe 3 catches max on the night. I don't know if Emmanuel Sanders had any catches tonight. You know, he definitely had, if he did have a catch, he had more penalty yards than he did receiving yards tonight. And Taysom Hill, I think after the first possession of the game, I don't think we saw much of Taysom Hill tonight. So I thought it was a poorly called game by Sean Payton. And I don't think that they did a good enough job of trying to create matchups and give the Raiders something to think about. And I think they really just said, hey, we got enough guys. We'll be fine. No, you don't. No, you don't. Gregory Lightbody says, can you imagine how good the Washington football team would be if they had a tight end like Waller and a running back like Jacobs? But we don't. And, you know, the whole Jacobs thing at running back, I don't know that we don't have a guy that can't evolve into a good running back. Jacobs is more natural. Obviously, he's been a running back his entire life. But I like what we're doing at the running back position. The tight end is where we got an issue. And, you know, Darren Waller is a unique athlete. You don't just, those kind of guys don't grow on trees. Reese says, I know Drew about as well as I know anyone I've ever seen play. I don't recognize this guy. It feels like somebody is impersonating Drew Brees. Like I said, him and his head coach, Sean Payton, seem like they're a little off right now. And hard to put my finger on exactly why. But it's showing. People notice. Sammy J12 says, bad loss by the Saints or good win by the Raiders? No, it's a good win by the Raiders. I'm not going to take anything away from them. And this is not a bad loss because the Raiders, for one, they're 2-0. And they're an up-and-coming team trying to figure some things out. And they got talent. So you come in shorthanded and you give a team confidence early by not putting them away when you got a chance. And this could happen to you. This could happen to anybody. This is a good win by the Raiders. This is a really good win by the Raiders. This isn't a bad loss. They didn't lose to the Jets today. They didn't lose to the Giants. They lost to a 2-0 football team. So, Azad Bilal says, Josh Jacobs is special, man. Yeah, he didn't have the best of games, but his change of pace is remarkable. Him and Elliott and Henry are the best pure runners in the NFL. I don't know if I would put him in a category with those guys right now. Ezekiel Elliott is really good. He's in a different category. And Derrick Henry, he's a different type of back, you know, but Josh Jacobs, that's what I told you. His agility was the thing that I loved coming out of Alabama. I loved his ability to catch it, his versatility because he could run it and catch it. He could run for power. He could also make you miss in space. And so to me, he had the complete package. I liked him more than the Georgia back. And a lot of people love DeAndre Swift. I said, Josh Jacobs is better than DeAndre Swift. And to me, they were very comparable, similar type backs at their respective schools. I just thought Josh Jacobs was more talented. And, we'll see if that proves to be the case at this level. But I feel pretty confident in stating that Josh Jacobs deserved to be a first-round pick and DeAndre Swift didn't. And he didn't get picked in the first round. And we'll see what happens with those two in their careers. But Josh Jacobs looks like the real deal for sure. Reese says, John Gruden has been looking for a Darren Waller since he's been a head coach. He's always tried to get athletes at tight end. He finally found one. And everyone's been trying to do that. I remember he was chasing the ghost for a long time, trying to find an elite tight end athlete. I remember the days of Dudley going back a ways with the Raiders. Dudley at the tight end position. Then they had the what was the dude's name? That was an ex-basketball player. They were always, because they were trying to get their own Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez. Like, everyone in that division wanted Tony Gonzalez. Then the Chargers struck it big with Gates. And then, so the Raiders and the Broncos were both looking for a guy. And I can't remember this dude's name. I remember because one of my best friends is a Raiders fan. And he used to always tell me about this guy. This was my Madden playing days. He was a tremendous athlete. I can't remember his name, but he was garbage, though. He never materialized in the league. Shikes. I can't remember his name. It's going to kill me now that I can't remember his name. Oh, my God. He was number 82. I can see his face and everything. Anyway, I got a couple super chats. Let me knock these out. Got one here from Mustango. Thank you for the super chat, Mustango. Almost can't see you right now. Appreciate you. Mustango writes, Injury Reaper hitting bad this season for teams. That's an understatement, Mustango, man. The Injury Reaper is out here snatching bodies this year. I mean, he is out here. And, normally the Injury Reaper comes around and he might touch this guy for an ankle for a couple weeks. He might touch this guy over here for a hammy. Nah, he's snatching ACLs. Let me get that Achilles over there. You don't need that pack right there. Let me get that. Like, he's going after dudes in a vicious way this year. Like, no regards for teams' aspirations and hopes for a season this year. He's out here snatching, whole tendons. Just give me that, man. You don't need that. Go rehab for a whole year. Like, he's out here being real messy, man. It's unbecoming of him. He doesn't even need to do this. We respect you for what you are. You don't have to go out here trashing team seasons like this before it even gets started. It's really just not necessary. But I'm not here to rag on the IR because I got respect for the dude and I don't want any problems. So I'm gonna step back and allow him to do whatever it is he feels like he needs to do. I just feel like he picking on people and he don't really need to do that. Anyway, I digress. Got another super chat here from Jim Hoover. Really appreciate you, Hoove. Can't see you almost right now either. Hoove writes, Jacobs looks like Marshall Faulk in my opinion. No, the tight end isn't David Osbury, Michael Dominguez. It's somebody else. I swear, if I don't think of his name, I'm going to look his ass up because it's going to kill me. And I'm going to continue thinking about it until I get the name in my head or somebody brings it up. Anyway, I don't think he's Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk was a little bit more dynamic. But I could see the comparison because of the change of direction and the suddenness, which both of them possess. Josh Jacobs, much like Marshall Faulk, can make you look really silly in a tight space. They call that phone booth agility and athleticism, where in a tight space you can make a guy miss without him even touching you. He does have that in him, but I think he's a little bit bigger than Marshall Faulk was. And I think Marshall Faulk was a little bit more elusive and a little bit more dynamic of a pass catcher out of the backfield too. But I could see where you were going with that one. No, I'm not talking about Walford from Miami. I'm further back than that, man. I'm further back than that. I think the dude I'm talking about went to Stanford and got drafted by the Raiders. God damn it. I'm gonna look him up. I can't take it anymore. My brain's gonna hurt if I don't figure his damn name out. Let's see. Stanford tight ends Raiders. He's got to come up. Teo Johnson. That's his damn name. Teo Johnson. Ha! I knew I was going to figure it out. Teo Johnson was his name. He looked the part of an athletically gifted tight end. He just never materialized in the league. But Teo Johnson is his name. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to some more comments. Let's see. We were right here. Azad Bilal says, Saints need Michael Thomas next week really bad. Breeze got to play better too because he missed some throws and that pick he threw was bad. He's got to show up next week versus that bad man. We'll see. We will see if he shows up next week or not because that's a big game. The Packers have scored 85 total points in their first 2 games this season. They're not playing around. They're scoring points. They're running the football. Rodgers is throwing out. You talk about Michael Thomas needing to play. Don't forget that the Packers' number 1 wide receiver, Devontae Adams, is injured as well. So, it could be really interesting because both of those teams need their number 1 wide receiver to function, and both of those teams could be without their best pass catchers. So, it could be really interesting next week if both of those guys do not play. I might have to give the edge to the Packers in that situation, even though I don't necessarily love what they have out there, without the Devontae Adams, but excuse me. Rodgers is more capable of elevating his team than Drew Brees is at this point. So I'd have to go with the Packers if that's the case. We'll see. Storm says, the lack of a deep ball still concerns me about Carr, this Raiders offense, but this is the type of game I haven't seen Carr have in a while. First back-to-back 30-point games in a long time, and that's what I referenced earlier. This is 2 weeks in a row, Raiders score over 30 points. Carr was really good distributing the football. I worry about that same thing, though. That's why they drafted Henry Ruggs. Not for him to just take coverage with him, not for him to just be eye candy, but for you to actually throw the football down the field, let him go get it, and hit some big plays. It's cool to go 11 plays, 8 minutes, and get in the end zone. But you know what also is pretty cool? A 2-play, 67-yard drive that culminates in a 61-yard bomb for a touchdown and a drive that only lasts 48 seconds. That's pretty awesome, too. And I think Gruden wants some of those as well. And Carr's got to deliver those, So I think that's something else because if you're going to keep up with the Chiefs, if you're going to keep pace with some of these high-octane offenses, you got to be able to score some points. And you got to be able to score quickly, too. You got to be able to be explosive. And that's why you go get a Henry Ruggs. Not just to take coverage, not just to keep that safety from coming down in the box so you can run it some more, even though we know Gruden wants to run it. No, it's because you want to run it so that safety does come down, and now Ruggs has one-on-one, and he's going to win. You need to hit it. Got another super chat. It's from my man, Jim Hoover. Can't see you right now, Hoove. Really appreciate you. Jim writes, Waller keeps balling. He'll hit the status of Casper, Chester, and Christensen. Damn, a lot of C's. Indeed. Um, he's got a ways to go to get into that conversation. When you start talking about Raiders lore at the tight end position. But tell you what he did last year, what he's doing this year, um, he's trending in the right direction, and he's got a quarterback that loves to hit the tight end. So he's gonna get plenty of opportunities. That is for sure. Thank you for that super chat, Jim Hoover. Let's see where we left off at. I think we were right here. Storm says, I believe that's the first ever Raiders touchdown with Spider 2 wide banana. You gotta love it. Indeed. That's all he used to talk about when he used to do the ESPN games as their analyst. And that's the first time we saw it. That Spider wide 2 banana with the tight end going straight into the flats, pulling the coverage, and then your fullback sneaking right out into the flats. Touchdown. He's been waiting for that one for a long, long time. And it just so happens it was the first touchdown for the Raiders in the new stadium. Go figure, right? A guy says Cinderella win for the Raiders on the night they opened their new stadium. That's a good open to the stadium. JP says that boy Ruggs is a speed demon, seems to be an excellent fit in that Raiders offense and should be an offensive rookie of the year candidate. Hashtag can't catch Henry. Got to get the football in order to be in that conversation, but he's going to have some opportunities. They got to let it rip. Derek Carr's got to let it go. Reese says, Lou, we faced Denver this week without Drew Lock, Cortland Sutton, Phillip Lindsay, AJ Boye, and Von Miller. Stroke of luck. You were going to beat them anyway, but it would have been a lot tougher. I'm going to tell you right now, though, don't sleep on Jeff Driscoll. He kept those boys in the game, and he actually played really well. So you're going to beat them, but they're going to fight. They're definitely going to put up a fight. JP says, did you notice the offensive line play has been bad for a lot of teams this year? I think, no offseason, no preseason. There's a lot that goes into that. Offensive line, of all the groups on the field, the offensive line requires the most cohesion. When you don't have that kind of time together where you know what the guy next to you is going to do, things can fall apart pretty quickly. The offensive line is all about communication and knowing what the guy next to you is going to do. And the only way you get that is through time. And we haven't had a lot of that this offseason. So that's not surprising to me. T. Severe says, does this win prove that Carr can be better than we thought or that TB12 is worse than we thought? The week one narrative was how good was the Saints. The Saints D says the week one narrative was how good the Saints D was. Carr had 2 rookie wide receivers and a guard playing right tackle. I think that, the week one narratives always get blown out of proportion. The Saints defense is inconsistent. That's always been their problem. They have stretches where they look elite and dominant. First of all, the Saints don't have one of their better pass rushers in Marcus Davenport. So that limits their ability to get to the quarterback. Now teams are saying, hey, Cameron Jordan, you're not going to beat us. And that's the smart thing to do. If you don't have a guy on the opposite side, then I'm not going to let your best guy beat me. But even with Marcus Davenport out there, this is a defense that's up and down. One week you catch them, and they're locking teams down, they're making plays, and they look lights out. And then another week you catch them, and they're giving up 37 points. So you just don't know what Saints defense you're going to get from week to week. So I don't think this is an indictment on the Saints or the Bucks or anybody. I think this is a good win. Call it what it is. It's a good win for the Raiders. No, it wasn't Courtney Anderson, T. Severe. Reese says, it feels like referees are easing up on holding this season. I guess holding takes place on every play. It's one of those subjective calls. You can call it on every play if you want. So I prefer them to let the players play. There are just certain officiating crews that are going to let you play and others that won't. And you're starting to see that. Like the crew tonight, they were calling some really soft, touchy stuff. Like the E-Man saying crack back block. Come on, man. Seriously, we calling that? What are you doing? Like, let these boys play out here, man. What are you doing? So that crew that we saw tonight, they're one of those crews that call everything. You know, you try to hope that you don't get those guys if you're watching your game. JC the God says, good way or the silver and black to be resilient and keep their heads in the game and fight back. They grabbed the Saints' heart tonight. Good for Vic and their confidence going forward. He said, good Vic for their confidence going forward. It is. And I want to see if they take that confidence into New England next week. That's going to be interesting, especially after seeing what New England was able to do in Seattle. That was pretty impressive because I didn't know with Cam Newton at quarterback if they were capable of doing that. They showed that if need be, they can go into the 30s, and if they need to, they can throw it 40 times. They may have to do that against the Raiders next week. Or maybe, as we saw tonight, the Saints had some success on the ground. They might just pound you into oblivion with the run game, like they did the Dolphins in week 1. We'll see what game plan they decide is better suited for this game versus the Raiders, and we'll see if the Raiders are up to the task of taking down the New England Patriots. T. Severe says, Ingold called a touchdown last year on that same play. I take your word for it. You're a Raiders fan, so I would assume that you would know better than I would. I know somebody in the comment section said that was the first time that they had seen it, but that doesn't mean it hadn't happened. Reese says, I like how things are playing out early. Saints inconsistent, Panthers stink, Falcons falconing. Hope this keeps up. It could really open up for you, but as I've mentioned, you got a tough schedule. You just need to make sure you take care of what you need to take care of. Everything else will fall into place. We know the Panthers stink, and they're going to stink this year. Don't worry about the Saints. Just worry about yourself, because when it's all said and done, they're probably going to figure it out. As long as they get healthy, they're going to figure it out and get on track. You'd like to think that's going to be the case. Maybe they don't. Maybe this is a down year for them. And even though they're 0-2, the Falcons have been scoring points and they're moving the football. I don't know if the defense is going to get any better. They seem to be really lackluster on the defensive side of the football. But as we saw last year, they can flip a switch, go into New Orleans and win, go to San Francisco and win, and start winning games down the stretch. So they could get hot at any time, can Atlanta. Just worry about your team and making sure that they're taking care of business. That's the best thing you could do at this point. Gregory Lightbody says, I'm so jealous as a Washington football fan. Wish we had Waller. Storm says, maybe Gruden is worth $100 million after all. LOL. Hopefully we can keep up this energy. Tough teams come up, though, but I think we can be competitive versus them all. We're going to see. This is a really pivotal stretch for the Raiders this season. If they can somehow come out of this stretch after week 7, 4-2, you got to feel damn good about what you've accomplished early in the season and think that this is a team that's going to compete for the remainder of the season. I thought it was a ballsy call by Gruden to kick that 54-yarder. Could have easily punted, pinned them deep, and forced them to go the length of the field to tie the game up with a minute left and no timeouts. And he said, nah, going for the gusto, man. Going for the jugular vein right now. Cut them, watch them bleed out. It's a hell of a call. It worked. They get the win. JP says, please don't tell me you're going to cover that doo-doo ass. Of course I am. Everybody, they need love too. And first of all, the Dolphins are playing better football, and the Jags are playing good football. And the Jags are 1-1. They're not 0-2. So you need to respect Jacksonville and what they're doing, and Minshew and James Robinson and Laviska Shenault and all those boys out there. You need to respect what they're doing out there. DJ Chark, all those boys are balling, okay? And Gardner Minshew, of course, leading the pack. So that game's going to probably be a lot more fun than you think. T. Severe says, I'm weary of 2-0 starts. We started that way a few seasons ago and got blasted by the Washington football team in week 3 and never recovered. I remember that game. Obviously, it was a Sunday night game. And we were riding high after that game. We felt really good. after that game. And then we lost to the Chiefs the next week, and we were never the same. Anyway, Reese says, Minshew Mania versus Fitzmagic matchup for the ages. Y'all gonna start respecting Gardner Minshew, man. I've come around. You should too. He's gonna make a believer out of some of y'all. Trust me. With that being said, I'm gonna glide to the side, get out of here. We've already eclipsed our hour on the program. I thank you guys for joining me tonight. Make sure that you sub up the channel if you haven't already done so. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing as we go live here on this channel at random times sometimes, as you can see. We will be live for the Wednesday edition of the Louie T Network podcast on Wednesday at 12 p.m. So make sure that you come ready to ask questions. We will have, as always on Wednesdays, social media maneuvers where I open the floor to you guys and you ask away about any football topic of your liking. So join me for the Louie T Network podcast, episode 92 on Wednesday. If you haven't already done so, like this video, and also make sure you check me out on Patreon as well. If you want additional NFL content, Patreon is the way to get it. The NFL Rookie Wall, where I chronicle the best 7 rookies all year long and all the honorable mentions. The list fluctuates every single week. There's some guys that are going to climb up the list this week with some really good performances. Some guys that may drop off the rookie wall altogether. And then there's the NFL's peak performers, best performances of the week, top 7. I give it to you, break it down. So look forward to chopping it up with some of you on Patreon as well. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here. If it's not your man T, it's not, I repeat, not the best NFL coverage it could be. Until next time, you guys, take it easy. That's going to do it for week number 2. Deuce. In the National Football League, it's in the books. Raiders take care of the Saints in the opening game at Allegiant Stadium, 34-24. They go to 2-0, do the Raiders. They head to New England next week. Meanwhile, the Saints fall to 1-1. Leave the game with a lot more questions than answers. And, oh, by the way, you're home on Sunday night versus the Green Bay Packers. Should be an interesting game, to say the least. I'm getting out of here. You guys have a great night. I'll see you next time. Take care. LouieTeeNetwork.